new cheesy fries, cheese and peas. Get the new cheesy fries, limited time only at Burger King.
Hear my cry, oh no.
A voice you love returns home.
Mighty God of Daniel.
This August, afternoons on Nationwide On Air and online will never be the same.
This is Nationwide's World Cup Team Profile. Brought to you by Barita, making money work for you.
New Zealand. The New Zealand team, called the All Whites, qualified for the 2010 FIFA World Cup in their only previous...
Buy more for less this summer, from cookware to curtains, comforters and more. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is...
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Label Crafts Jamaica Limited offers exceptional finishes that will make your product extraordinary at an affordable cost. The Temperature by Label Crafts Jamaica Limited. The #1 choice for label printing is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston and 13 Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Integrity Commission to engage the media amid concerns about its public perception.
We're trying to improve our engagement with the media and the public generally to see if we can build that confidence that we require.
And the Commission says concern about increasing litigation against the body relates to matters brought to court while investigations are incomplete.
The JLP says Desmond McKenzie is doing well after being pepper sprayed by the police this morning in Tivoli Gardens.
The death rate in road crashes in the last week has doubled.
The Court Administration Division, CAD, refutes reports that motorists were arrested in a bathroom at the recent two-day public traffic ticket days.
In news from the rest of the world, 9 CARICOM countries listed by Spain to receive visa-free access to the country.
Trump administration orders ICE to suspend most vehicle stops after 2 deadly shootings.
In sports, one half of the World Cup finalists decided as the favorites are knocked out of the tournament.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, Executive Director of the Integrity Commission, Craig Beresford, says the entity cannot be held responsible for how political operatives use their investigative reports.
After their tabling, they find themselves onto the political hustings to be used as ammunition.
We cannot sit here and direct anyone how they utilize our report.
You'll hear more from the Integrity Commission's media briefing.
In the nation's business at 625, Principal Director of National Integrity Action, Dr. Gavin Myers, and political commentator Dr. Nadine Spence will join us to react to the Integrity Commission's media briefing.
Taking around the world at 6:45, the United States has launched a campaign to dismantle the International Criminal Court, ICC. We'll hear from retired Provost of John Jay College of Criminal Justice, Professor Basil Wilson. At 7, it's the comments section. This evening, they're asking, what's your reaction to Desmond McKenzie being pepper sprayed by lawmen? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
And at 8, it's Prescription for Life with Dr. Andre McDonald.
All these and more as we take you home on air Nationwide 90FM this Tuesday afternoon. It's Tuesday, July 14, 2026.
This program is brought to you by the KFC Big League Promotion. From now to July 20, buy a meal deal or a big deal and enter for a chance to win. Weekly prizes plus a trip for 2 to Brazil and $500,000 cash. Conditions apply. KFC, it's finger licking good.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. The current leadership of the Integrity Commission says it will abandon the stance towards media engagements taken by its predecessors amid concerns about its public perception. That's according to Executive Director Craig Beresford. The Commission held its first press briefing on Tuesday in nearly 7 years. Beresford alluded to a difference of opinion compared to the prior leadership of the Commission regarding its forward-facing presence. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
We have work to do. Executive Director of the Integrity Commission, Craig Beresford, accepts that the anti-corruption body may have to regain the confidence of several Jamaicans as it moves forward.
If the Blue Dot poll suggests, or any poll suggests, that there is a loss of confidence, it means that we have some work to do, and we have started that. And we will continue that work. We continue to improve our processes. We have done several things. We are trying to improve our engagement with the media and the public generally. We have been doing a lot of work on the prevention side, and we will continue to do the work to see if we can build that confidence that we require. And note carefully that apart from the Blue Dot poll that was mentioned,
yes,
other comments that you may see on the social media, it's a mixed bag.
He's reacting to a recent Nationwide News Blue Dot poll, which suggested 51% of respondents have no confidence in the Commission. The Integrity Commission's executive has avoided public engagement for much of its 8 years of operations, which Beresford admits may not have helped the perception of the organization. Its last special media briefing was held in May 2019, following the public disagreement between former Contractor General Derek Harrison and the commissioners. The parties were at odds over Harrison's probe into Cabinet Minister Darrell Vaz's involvement in a land sale by the Urban Development Corporation, which was at the time under his portfolio. Beresford says he intends to adopt a different approach to media engagement than that of his predecessor Greg Christie.
We live in a very dynamic environment. Different management team will have different strategies and initiatives that they propose, and we're proposing more engagement. And we have accepted that it is something that was wanted before in terms of the engagement. And it's not pointing any fingers in terms of the previous leadership. It took a position based on what was happening at that time. We have a new leadership team. We have made a proposal to the Commission. So yes, it has received the blessing of the commissioners for us to do this media intervention. And then also our communication strategy will speak to even broader engagement with the media, and that will also be approved by the commissioners.
As part of his opening remarks, Beresford sought to entreat the public, noting their role in the anti-corruption fight.
We view this occasion as the start of a more structured engagement with the media as we continue to carry out our mandate in the public interest. The Integrity Commission performs functions that are fundamental to strengthening public confidence in government. However, our success depends not only on the work of the Commission, but also on the support of the Jamaican people. Every citizen has a role to play by rejecting corruption, acting ethically, reporting wrongdoing, and supporting the institutions established to uphold accountability. The fight against corruption is a shared national responsibility.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Beresford says the concern expressed by its chairman about increasing litigation against the Commission and its executives relates to matters brought to court while investigations are ongoing.
There are some matters that there has been legal challenges, probably at the early stage and in some instances closer to the latter part of the investigation being concluded. And those are the ones that we have the major concerns with. The ones that goes to court afterwards, their due process should be followed, and we allow the court to make its own determination. But when we're investigating a matter and then you have a legal challenge, it may take years before that legal challenge is concluded. And then, of course, that report will come years after. And we may not still be at the organization, we don't know.
In her remarks in the Integrity Commission's 2025-2026 annual report, Chairman retired Justice Carol Lawrence Beswick cautioned that an increasing number of lawsuits against the body and its leadership could hamper the fight against corruption. She argued that the courts play a vital role in upholding the rule of law and keeping public bodies within their legal authority. But, according to her, it's equally important that the Commission's lawful work is not frustrated, delayed, or undermined by actions designed solely to discourage robust investigations or to stop the Commission from carrying out its mandate. And the IC says it supports the suggestion for the filing of statutory declarations by staff at the Integrity Commission to be examined by an external body. According to Beresford, this proposal was first made by the Commission in 2021.
As it concerns the issue of examination of statutory declaration for our staff, we actually made that proposal since 2021 for that to be done because we recognize that, we're placed in a sort of conflicted position. I was the director of informational complaints at the time, and I said it would be inappropriate to be examining our own statutory declarations. And the law prescribes that we can make regulations to how we treat with statutory declaration for staff, and we made the recommendation then, and we also made it to the Joint Select Committee reviewing the Integrity Commission Act. So it is something that we accept and we are open to.
Craig Beresford, Executive Director of the Integrity Commission. He was speaking at the media briefing held at the Commission's headquarters in New Kingston on Tuesday.
The Jamaica Labour Party JLP says its deputy leader Desmond McKenzie is doing well after being pepper sprayed by the police Tuesday morning in Tivoli Gardens. The incident occurred on the scene of a police shooting in the Tivoli Gardens community in McKenzie's West Kingston constituency. He explained the situation to George Davis on Nationwide this morning.
When I came, the community was very upset because they are saying men who were going to work were abused by the police and pulled in. I came and I was able to sort of quell them, ask them to allow the police to continue doing what they were doing. I am now proceeding to walk onto Spanish Town Road to speak to Superintendent Walcott, one of the officers from Denham. So when I was there talking, the crowd started to gather and everybody started to move. And this young lady said something. I don't know what she said to the police, but the police attempted to hold her. She ran behind me, George. And I said to the policeman, hold on. The policeman proceeded to pepper spray me, George.
Pepper spray you?
Yeah, pepper spray me, George.
Desmond McKenzie, MP for West Kingston. The JLP says McKenzie received precautionary medical consultation following the incident and is actively carrying out his duties as both MP and local government minister. The party says he's grateful for the expressions of support and remains focused on harnessing harmonious relations between residents of his constituency and law enforcement.
Meanwhile, Councillor for the Tivoli Gardens Division, Donovan Samuels, has condemned what he describes as the improper conduct by lawmen after MP McKenzie was pepper sprayed earlier on Tuesday.
So Mr. McKenzie came and, he spoke about it and he took up the person. And from what I'm hearing is that a young miss said something to Mr. McKenzie, to the police, ran behind Mr. McKenzie, and the policeman just turned around and pepper spray in the MP's face. I mean, you don't do those things, man. Improper behavior, because as far as I know, you don't pepper spray somebody unless you're preventing an attack from them. You don't run down somebody to pepper spray them. So the conduct of individual policemen seem to be suspect.
MP McKenzie says he has no difficulty with any police operation aimed at nabbing wanted men, but he decried the treatment of the injured man by the police. He had to prevail on the lawmen to take the bleeding man to the hospital. Councillor Samuels echoed MP McKenzie's concerns about how the injured man was treated.
When it comes to police, the police do their job. We don't have a problem. The leadership of West Kingston don't have a problem with police doing their job. But when it comes to abusing the power you have, then we have a problem. And if you are on the hunt for anybody at all because they're wanted, and you, for whatever reason, the person is shot, then you take the person to the hospital. You can't have the person sit down on the ground and stand over the person as if you are God, waiting for the person to die.
Donovan Samuels, councillor for the Tivoli Gardens Division.
The death rate in road crashes in the last week has doubled. This is despite an overall decline in road fatalities since the start of this year. Director of the Mona Geoinformatics Institute, Dr. Paris Luai Jr., raised the alarm while addressing the National Road Safety Council, NRSC's mid-year traffic assessment at the Police Commissioner's office in Kingston on Tuesday.
We're seeing generally a reduction in fatalities. For the year, we are seeing about 0.84 people dying per day. That is down compared to last year, the year before, etc. But what is of concern is over the last 7 days, we're seeing 1.71 people dying per day. In the last 7 days, the death rate is twice the average for the year. We now need to stop that before it gets out of control. And we're seeing where spikes are happening. Public holiday, a couple of days before, a couple of days after. So When we begin to look at individual time statistics, Monday is the worst day, but weekends overall is the worst period in fatalities.
He notes that weekends are the worst days for fatalities from road crashes.
When we begin to look at individual time statistics, Monday is the worst day, but weekends overall is the worst period. But if you look at the graph on the left, the top left, July and June are the only months of the year where we're averaging over one death. Everywhere else for the year in 2026 is less than one death per day, which is good until June and July.
Dr. Paris Luai Jr., Director of the Mona Geoinformatics Institute. You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
5:15.
Termites, rodents, or birds infesting your home or office? Call Rentokil Initial, the pest expert, at 876-926-4236 for a free pest assessment island-wide. The temperature brought to you by Rentokil Initial is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 in Montego Bay.
A voice you love returns home. This August, afternoons on Nationwide on air and online will never be the same.
Continuing the news, the Court Administration Division, CAD, is refuting reports that several motorists were arrested in a bathroom at the recent two-day public traffic ticket days due to outstanding warrants or insufficient funds to pay for the tickets issued. The Traffic Ticket Initiative, which took place at the National Arena, was organized by the CAD. It allowed motorists to settle outstanding traffic tickets incurred dating back to 2018. Dana Davy reports.
Following the two-day event last Wednesday and Thursday, reports emerged that several motorists and taxi operators were detained in a bathroom after they were unable to pay their outstanding fines. But, in a media release on Tuesday, the CAD says this claim is false. According to the division, persons who were unable to immediately pay their fines were accommodated in a designated changing room while arrangements were made for their next steps. CAD says the changing room included access to bathroom facilities so individuals could attend to personal needs while awaiting transportation. It explains that these persons were not members of the general public who attended the event. Instead, the CAD says they were a small number of individuals who, after appearing before the court, were unable to pay the fines imposed. The CAD notes that in several instances, persons were afforded time to receive assistance in making the payment. It further adds that where payment could not be made, individuals awaited transportation by the police to the relevant police stations. The division reports that 16 persons were arrested over the two-day period for being unable to pay their fines, 10 on Wednesday and 6 on Thursday. CAD notes that the figures are preliminary and that the data for both days are still being finalized and collated. CAD says at least one of the individuals detained on Wednesday indicated he'd rather serve a custodial sentence than pay the fine. Meanwhile, Director of Client Services, Communications and Information at the Court Administration Division, Kadish Jarrett Fletcher, says more than $97 million in traffic ticket fines were collected over the two-day exercise.
Data entry and reconciliation for the traffic ticket public days are ongoing. Our preliminary figures indicate that $97,454,200 were collected in fines over the 2 days at the National Arena. Now, the total number of traffic tickets disposed of, along with other operational statistics, those are still being finalized, and a comprehensive update will be provided once we have completed data verification and reconciliation.
Dana Davy for Nationwide News.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The world in a minute. 9 CARICOM countries were listed among 60 nations worldwide whose citizens will not need a visa to enter Spain. They are Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, the Bahamas, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The list doesn't include Jamaica, Guyana, Suriname, Belize, and Haiti. It was disclosed in a statement issued by the Foreign Affairs Ministry in Madrid. Apart from the CARICOM countries, Spain is also granting citizens of 8 African countries visa-free access for short stays of up to 90 days. The visa-free arrangement applies to tourism, business trips, and other short visits of up to 90 days within a 180-day period.
Trump administration officials have told Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, officers to suspend most vehicle stops after 2 deadly shootings in little over a week. The order came a day after an ICE officer shot and killed a Colombian driver in Maine, and a week after one shot and killed a motorist in Houston. The suspension will apply to most circumstances, except cases involving serious criminal targets. It marks a major policy shift for the agency, which has faced criticism in the past year over allegations of excessive use of force and scrutiny over deaths which occurred during its operations. At least 7 people have been killed in ICE operations since January last year.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Integrity Commission to engage the media amid concerns about its public perception.
And the Commission says concern about increasing litigation against the body relates to matters brought to court while investigations are incomplete.
JLP's Desmond McKenzie doing well after being pepper sprayed by the police this morning in Tivoli Gardens. I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com, and please feel free to join the Nationwide Family Club at patreon.com/Nationwide News Network. News next, the headlines at 6.
This program was brought to you by KFC Big League Promotion. From now until July 20, buy a meal deal or a big deal and enter for a chance to win. Weekly prizes plus a trip for 2 to Brazil and $500,000 cash. Conditions apply. KFC, it's finger licking good.
This is Nationwide's FIFA World Cup Fact, brought to you by Juicy Patties, serious Jamaican food.
Did you know that Miroslav Klose scored 5 goals with his head at his first World Cup? Yes, that's a fact. Germany's Miroslav Klose announced himself at the 2002 World Cup by netting 5 goals, all headers, leading Germany to the final.
That was Nationwide's FIFA World Cup Fact, brought to you by Juicy Patties, serious Jamaican food.
A voice, a personality you love, returns to Nationwide this August. Afternoons on air and online at Nationwide will never be the same.
Join Nationwide 90 FM live for an outside broadcast with Cliff Hughes Online on Wednesday, July 15, 2026 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Separat's Danvers Pen facility in St. Thomas. Be there as the Jamaica Dairy Development Board under the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining officially distributes 400 heifers to dairy farmers across the island as part of the government's emergency recovery initiative following Hurricane Melissa. Hear from the Minister of Agriculture, the Honourable Floyd Green, along with key stakeholders as they outline the government's recovery efforts and long-term vision for a stronger, more resilient dairy sector. Join Cliff Hughes for insightful interviews, expert analysis, and live coverage from the heart of this important national initiative. Tune in to Cliff Hughes Online, Wednesday, July 15, for a live broadcast from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. from Separat's Danvers Penn facility in St. Thomas. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Dairy Development Board.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
It's hard-hitting. It's riveting. It's the much-talked-about cover story during Nationwide at 5. Hear Cliff Hughes get to the heart of the story of the day. Cover Story, aired 5:30 weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Nationwide at 5. Talk radio at its best. Cover Story.
Cover Story is brought to you by JTA Credit Union, serving our members, impacting lives positively.
Multilink, roll with control. Use Multilink, safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The European champion Spain, they're through to only their second ever FIFA World Cup final. This after beating tournament favorites France 2-0 in the semi-final in Dallas on Tuesday. Mikel Oyarzabal shot the Spaniards ahead from the spot on minute 22 before Tottenham Hotspur's Pedro Porro applied the gloss in minute 58.
Dani Olmo there is protecting the spot itself. I'll tell you that Mark Maignan is going to dive to his right. Let's see. Mikel Oyarzabal strikes first for Spain. A glimpse, just a glimpse of the World Cup final. Porro, Olmo, Pedro Porro! It's happening for Spain! Look at those wild eyes! The world is opening up for this glittering Spanish cohort.
The other finalists will be known on Wednesday when defending champions Argentina takes on the 1966 winners England in a game to be played, that semi-final 2 to be played in Atlanta, and it's set to kick off at 2 o'clock Jamaica time. Jamaica will go in search of a second straight victory. The West Indies Rising Stars Under-19 cricket tournament in Antigua. They battled Trinidad and Tobago at the Liberta Sports Club, and it's set to bowl off at 9 o'clock Jamaica time in the morning. The Jamaicans suffered defeat to the Leeward Islands in the first round at the weekend, but they bounced back spectacularly to beat Guyana by 10 wickets on Monday. The other games on Wednesday will see Barbados also seeking a second straight win. They take on Guyana over at the Coolidge Cricket Ground, while the Windward Islands will battle the Leeward Islands over at Bethesda Cricket Ground. And the West Indies women and their Irish counterparts are meeting in the final game of their 3-match limited over series, and that will be played on Wednesday at the Brady Ground in Ireland. It's set to bowl off at 5:45 in the morning Jamaica time. The Caribbean team has already wrapped up the series, having won the first 2 games, and they will be going in search of a series wash. Captain Hayley Matthews and her predecessor Stephanie Taylor combined impressive centuries to steer the West Indies to their crushing win on Sunday. The West Indies are expected to go in with the same 11 which won that game as they look to sweep their hosts. England's limited overs woes continued on Tuesday, and they were outplayed by India in the first one-day international in Birmingham. They lost by 6 wickets. The hosts were first bowled out for 258 in 48 overs as Joe Root cracked an unbeaten 76. Liam Dawson made 68 and Ben Duckett 43 against Axel Patar, who bagged the 4 for 62. India raced to 200 at a 62 for 4 in reply, thanks in the main to their captain Shubman Gill, who retired hurt on 80. Patel chipped in with 57, and Washington Sundar, he was unbeaten on 52 in the end. In Sports Challenge Cup has officially returned to the local high school sporting calendar after a 5-year absence caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, with this year's competition getting underway on Wednesday. The preseason tournament, which was first introduced in 2017, was suspended in 2020 following the outbreak of the COVID-19, and it returned marks the revival of a competition designed to help schools prepare for their respective inter-schools competition. The 2026 staging was officially launched on Tuesday at the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. Netball action begins on Wednesday, while the football competition will kick off on Thursday. Minister of Sports Olivia Grange says there will also be significant financial incentives for the top performing schools. Minister Grange says the champions in both the football and netball competitions will each receive $400,000.
I couldn't come back with pre-COVID prize money, so I've increased it, and I felt it was important. It's a great incentive to the players and to the schools, and also the fact that it was suspended for a while. I really had to do something that would be impactful and that would motivate the players.
Sports Minister Olivia Grange, and the competition will last a month. 12 schools will compete in both netball and football. The teams will accumulate points during the preliminary round, with the top performers advancing to the semi-finals. The schools contesting the netball competition: Denby High, Gainsted, Mergrove, Camperdown, Norman Manley, Vauxhall, Jose Marti, Dintil, Mile Gully, Bishop Gibson, Mayday, and Tatius Golding. The football competition will feature Tatius Golding, St. Catherine High, Charlotte, Waterford, Denby, Denham Town, Jose Marti, Tivoli Gardens, St. Jacob, Bridgeport, Haile Selassie, Innswood, and Greater Portmore High School. That will do it for sports at this time. We're going to be back, though, with our major sportscast at 6:05 this evening. Aldrich Swaby will be here for that one.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:31.
From the vibrant waterfront setting of Ocho Rios Bay Beach to the breathtaking seascape of Laughing Waters, discover exceptional venues for your special events. The temperature by the Urban Development Corporation is
31 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 29 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Listen up, motorists. Every driver's license starts with 0 demerit points. But when you commit certain traffic offences, points are added to your record after payment of the traffic ticket at the tax office or conviction by a court. Quick maths. 10 to 13 points, a 6-month suspension. 14 to 19 points, 1 year. And 20 points or more, a 2-year suspension. Don't risk it. Obey the road code, drive responsibly, and avoid demerit points. This message is brought to you by the Island Traffic Authority.
Turn up to 25, turn up to 25. Could I drive out fresh in a MG ride with a staycation, all inclusive flex? Yeah, I touch a million cash. Yes, smart TV, PS5, and home upgrade.
Turn up your winnings this summer with Digicel. Sign up or switch to postpaid or Digicel Plus. Buy a SIM, top up with 5 bills or more. Buy a 7-day plan or higher, a smartphone deal, or just pay your bill. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Promotion period June 24 to September 5, 2026. Visit DigicelJamaica.com for terms and conditions.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Win with KFC Big League. Join the league. Win a trip to Brazil, all you mean? Yeah. Big deal, meal deal, big match. Just buy KFC and win that. From now until July 20th, 2026, buy a big deal or meal deal for a chance to win a trip for two to Brazil. Courtesy of KFC. That's $500,000 cash from Best Dressed Chicken. 11 weekly winners score free KFC for a year. 65-inch TVs, smartphones, and more. Just WhatsApp your receipt to 876-784-7811 to enter and win big in the KFC Big League. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Wake up, Jamaica!
It's another glorious day on Nationwide this morning. From your 6 a.m. alarm to the news at 6. Coming up in the news at 6 to me telling you what's on my mind.
To more news at 7 a.m. Coming up in the news at 7. And then the biggest issues dissected, interrogated and discussed on the front page. Nationwide this morning fires you up and sets you right for the remainder of the day.
And there's much more until 9 a.m. Want to know which roads to avoid on your morning commute?
Time now for Street Smarts 2 with Little Clean.
Listen to Street Smart.
Want to hear more about things happening at the community level outside the bustling corporate area? Listen to Across Jamaica.
George, it's someone's birthday.
Happy birthday, yeah, my friend.
And that someone will hear a special greeting every morning via the Birthday Club.
Nationwide this morning on the revolution in media.
It's coffee, tea, and everything else
for those who want an energetic,
rip-roaring start to their day.
Good afternoon, listeners, viewers. Welcome to Nationwide at 5. It is time for the cover story. As always, I'm your host, Siobhan Campbell. I trust you're enjoying your Tuesday. For those disappointed French fans this afternoon, that unfortunate crash out there by your side in the World Cup, I hope you can recover. And on that note, remember that the 2026 World Cup is still underway, and Nationwide is bringing you exclusive radio coverage of the matches. They're also bringing you pre- and post-game analysis. Don't forget to tune in. And please also note our new YouTube channel, that's NNN Radio Live. So go over to that new channel and like, share, and subscribe. And as always, a special shout out to our loyal YouTubers. That's Beverly Buchanan, Carrick Chan, Who Am I, Catherine Smith, Jamgran, Ciablo, see if any other special names here. Herman Hyatt, you're there as well as Erica Bennett and Michael Clark. Good evening to all of you again. Thank you so much for your continued patience and loyalty here with Nationwide News. So, the meat and the matter of the day, the Integrity Commission's first media briefing in nearly 7 years. Executive Director of the Integrity Commission, that's Craig Beresford, says the Commission cannot be held responsible for how political operatives use their investigative and other reports. He made the comment while addressing a media briefing held at their headquarters in New Kingston on Tuesday. And then finally again to you, Mr. Beresford. Are you concerned, or more likely I should say, your reaction to the fact that the Integrity Commission reports, the annual reports as well as your investigative reports, find themselves on the political hustings being used as political ammunition?
If I am concerned that...
Yes, and I ask for your
reaction. You mean
when
they are tabled?
after their tabling, they find themselves onto the political hustings to be used as ammunition against opposition or the political rivals.
Well, you know, we cannot sit here and direct anyone how they utilize our reports. As far as we are concerned, our obligation ends when we send our report to Parliament. So how it is utilized by any person or body or group, it's not something that we concern ourselves about.
Then just a follow-up to that question. Then if the work of the Integrity Commission ends once a report has been tabled, then why can it be considered that some matters remain under investigation after said report is tabled?
There are unique matters that are dealt with differently.
There are unique matters that are dealt with differently. Note the follow-up question there, because as you know, the normal process of things is once the report has been tabled by the Integrity Commission and the indicative ruling handed down by the Director of Corruption Prosecution, that usually brings that aspect to a close unless there are further proceedings in the court. But as you know, uniquely, and that is a specific unique case with the Prime Minister's statutory declarations, where more information has now been required by the Integrity Commission, so to speak, so much that it was sent to the FID. That question was put to them as well as to where is the report from the FID in regard to their further probing of the Prime Minister's statutory declarations. However, the Integrity Commission asked that question twice, and was the third put by me. They have decidedly suggested that that matter still before the courts. They're not going to comment on it in relation to the Prime Minister's statutory declarations. Well, in the meantime, Mr. Beresford says the Commission plans to take on a more structured engagement with the media and the public.
Be with you today to discuss the important work of the Integrity Commission and the steps we continue to take to strengthen our institution as we carry out our mandate to promote integrity, transparency and accountability in Jamaica's public sector. I want to begin by acknowledging the vital role of the media. The media is one of the Commission's most important stakeholders in the fight against corruption. Through responsible, accurate and balanced reporting, the media helps to educate the public, encourage accountability and foster informed national dialogue on issues affecting good governance. An informed public is empowered to make better decisions, demand higher standards of conduct, and support institutions that exist to protect the public interest. We remain committed to fostering open, professional, constructive engagement consistent with the provisions of the Integrity Commission Act. It is because we recognize the vital role the media plays in promoting transparency and keeping the public informed that we have invited you to the Integrity Commission's first official press conference on its annual report. We view this occasion as the start of a more structured engagement with the media as we continue to carry out our mandate in the public interest. The Integrity Commission performs functions that are fundamental to strengthening public confidence in government. Through corruption prevention initiatives, the examination of statutory declarations, investigations, prosecutions, and other responsibilities assigned to us under the Integrity Commission Act, we seek to ensure that integrity remains at the center of public administration. However, our success depends not only on the work of the Commission, but also on the support of the Jamaican people. Every citizen has a role to play by rejecting corruption, acting ethically, reporting wrongdoing, and supporting the institutions established to uphold accountability. The fight against corruption is a shared national responsibility. Within the Commission, we continue to strengthen operational efficiency through ongoing process reviews and internal organizational improvements. We acknowledge the concerns expressed in the public domain regarding value for money and remain firmly committed to enhancing our effectiveness, improving performance, and ensuring the prudent use of public resources through continuous improvement. Our greatest strength, however, is our people. Human capital continues to be the cornerstone of the Commission's success. We have developed a comprehensive change management agenda focused on strengthening our organizational culture, increasing staff engagement, and improving employee satisfaction. At the same time, we recognize the ongoing challenges of attracting and retaining highly skilled professionals. Compensation levels, coupled with increasingly challenging security environment in which many of our officers perform their duties, continue to contribute to staff turnover and negatively impact our operational output. Nevertheless, we remain committed to fostering a workplace where talented professionals are supported, valued, empowered, and equipped to perform at the highest standard.
That's Craig Beresford there, the Executive Director of the Integrity Commission. We have a short break, listeners, and then we come back more from today's media briefing with the Integrity Commission.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is...
It's 31 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and it's 29 out west in Montego Bay. And this is an important announcement from the National Water Commission. The National Water Commission is advising that construction has commenced in Lucy, Hanover, under Phase 1 of the highly anticipated Western Water Resilience Improvement Project. Pipeline installation has begun in the vicinity of Copperwood in Lucy, Hanover. As a result, vehicular traffic has been reduced to one lane starting near the CB factory. Motorists are advised to budget additional travel time, proceed with caution, and obey all traffic lights and signs, as well as traffic personnel in the area. The NWC craves your patience and understanding as they build a more resilient and reliable water supply to serve you. That was an important announcement from the National Water Commission.
Mega Mart, best value by far. You can get it all here at Mega Mart. Mega Mart, best value by far. You can get it all here at Mega Mart. My Mega Mart, the best value by far. My Mega Mart, the best value by far.
At the forefront of making Jamaica a robust financial hub, the Jamaica International Financial Services Authority leads the charge with trust and integrity. An agency under the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, JIFSA aims to foster economic diversification and boost Jamaica's business landscape. Centered on stimulating economic growth and encouraging investments, we take pride in cultivating a business environment that supports new opportunities. Jamaica International Financial Services Authority, promoting transparency, trust, and sustainable investment growth.
A voice you love returns home. I gotta tell ya. This August, afternoons on Nationwide on air and online will never be the same.
Welcome back, listeners, viewers, to Nationwide at 5 here in the cover story. We are giving you excerpts from the Integrity Commission's first media briefing in nearly 7 years. You heard there from the Executive Director, that is Craig Beresford, and he goes on to suggest that he accepts that the anti-corruption body may have to regain the confidence of several Jamaicans as it moves forward. Commission. The last Blue Dot poll conducted sometime in 2025 suggested 51% of Jamaicans say they had no confidence in the Integrity Commission's reporting. So I ask you then your reaction to that data and as to whether the lack of a public-facing press conference such as this over the last 7 or so years contributed to that negative opinion of the Integrity Commission in the public.
Well, I would have hoped that you would have disaggregated for me and tell me exactly the reason why they have no confidence in the commission. I can't hazard a guess and I won't. But if the Blue Dot poll suggests, or any poll suggests, that there is a loss of confidence, it means that we have some work to do. And we have started that work. So, and we will continue that work.
So to note, listeners, the Integrity Commission's executive has avoided public engagement for much of its 8 years of operations, with Beresford admitting that may not have helped the perception of the organization. Its last special media briefing was held in May 2019, following the public disagreement between former Contractor General Dirk Harrison and the commissioners. The parties were at odds over Harrison's probe into Cabinet Minister Darrell Vaz's involvement in a land sale by the Urban Development Corporation, which was at the time under his portfolio. Beresford says he intends to adopt a different approach to media engagement than that of his predecessor Greg Christie.
My question is for you as well, Mr. Beresford. There's a mixed bag of opinions out there as it relates to the Integrity Commission. And I wanted to follow up on a question one of my media colleagues asked, to ask you, does the IC agree that it has significant repair work to do to refresh or repair its image with the Jamaican people, and or do you disagree, and why?
So you're asking us to draw on the Blue Dot poll then?
And there's general public commentary out there. If you just scroll through social media on a given day to a report that the Integrity Commission has just put out, you'll see the reactions.
And I see some very good reactions too.
Yes.
All right. So I will rest it there.
What's your reaction, though, to the other side of the coin?
No, well, as I said before, we continue to improve our processes. We have done several things. We are trying to improve our engagement with the media and the public generally. We have been doing a lot of work on the prevention side, and we will continue to do the work to see if we can build that confidence that we require. And note carefully that apart from the Blue Dot poll that was mentioned,
yes,
the other comments that you may see on the social media, it's a mixed bag.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult to say that they are of that view, and you can have one person saying several things under different names. Social media is definitely not the best place to pull that information from.
But some would say social media represents the Jamaica at large. Jamaicans are the ones generally in the comment section commenting on what your report says.
Yeah. Well, we ignore nothing at all that is said. As a matter of fact, as I said before, we follow social media. So for areas that we believe that we can improve, or there are suggestions that are out there, we will take them. So we have no difficulty with that.
For the executive director, in your presentation, Mr. Beresford, you said in relation to media engagements that this is the start to a more structured engagement with the media. And I wanted to do a follow-up and ask if the lack of media engagement and what you're doing now is a policy directive.
It's a policy? Could you repeat your end?
If the lack of media engagement and what you're embarking on now with what is here today, if this was a policy directive.
We live in a very dynamic environment. Different management team will have different strategies and initiatives that they propose, and we're proposing more engagement. And we have accepted that it is something that was wanted before in terms of the engagement. And it's not pointing any fingers in terms of the previous leadership. It took a position based on what was happening at that time. We have a new leadership team. We have made a proposal to the commission. So yes, it has received the blessing of the commissioners for us to do this media intervention, and then also our communication strategy will speak to even broader engagement with the media, and that will also be approved by the commissioners.
That's Craig Beresford, Executive Director of the Integrity Commission. Just some context to our listeners, and particularly those on YouTube, questioning why questions were asked a certain way and why some questions weren't asked. And I just have to bring up with you, this document was provided by the Integrity Commission upon our entry, to the media's entry to today's press conference, and it's a set of guidelines in relation to which questions could and could not be asked of the Commission. And I will just skip right to the bottom of it, where it says relevance. Questions should relate to the annual report and the Commission's statutory functions. If a question is directed to a specific official, the moderator will invite that individual to respond. Then it goes on to say legal, confidentiality, and other constraints. It says officials will be unable to comment on 1. Matters beyond the annual reporting period, that's April 1, 2025 to March 31, 2026, matters before the courts, active or ongoing investigations, information protected by law or confidentiality provisions, personal or confidential information relating to individuals, issues that could prejudice legal or investigative processes. So just to note that there were some constraints placed on media practitioners in terms of the questions that could be asked, and there were attempts to ask some of them, but as you can imagine, the refrain was that falls outside of the guidelines as associated with the media briefing. And one of them, again, I point out, is in relation to the FID's findings on the matter of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness's statutory declarations. That was literally the first question asked of the Integrity Commission, and the obvious response, that falls outside of the guidelines set about here. There was an attempt again to ask the question in a different way, again falling outside of the guidelines, and an attempt again by me to ask it in a more cute way regarding the statutory declarations and the ongoing investigations. Again, the response was, that is a unique situation. That was the most that we could get from the Integrity Commission on that specific matter. So yes, I can understand the listeners and viewers concerned that some questions did not get asked, or they didn't get asked in a certain way. There was, as you can understand, they set out some guidelines as to what they wished, I want to put it that way, what they wished to avoid in terms of potential legality, in terms of the questions that could have been asked. Well, going further down, we have here where it says, and this is coming from Joeth Jones, she's the Director of Information and Complaints. She says the issue of legal challenges being mounted against the Integrity Commission, well, actually, Executive Director Craig Beresford says the Commission respects the constitutional right of citizens to due process. He says issues arise when individuals mount challenges against the Commission while investigations are still underway.
Data governance is more than a legal requirement. It is a cornerstone of institutional integrity and accountability. The Commission remains committed to prudent financial management and the responsible stewardship of public resources. We have consistently met all our financial reporting obligations to the Ministry of Finance, reflecting our commitment to transparency, accountability, and sound governance. I'm pleased to also report that the Commission has once again received a clean bill of health from our external auditors, affirming the strength of our financial management systems and internal controls. Our budget performance has also improved significantly as we continue to align our financial resources with our operational priorities. Finally, we acknowledge the public discussion surrounding our remarks on legal challenges and wish to reaffirm that the Integrity Commission fully respects every individual's constitutional right to due process and access to the courts. Our concern is that legal proceedings may, at times, unintentionally delay or impede the timely resolution of matters, creating opportunities to question the Commission's effectiveness. In closing, the Integrity Commission remains steadfast in its commitment to strengthening transparency, promoting accountability, and protecting the public interest. We will continue to invest in our people, our systems, our governance framework, and our partnerships with the media and the public because we recognize that these investments strengthen our ability to fulfill our mandate. Thank you very much.
That's Craig Beresford, the Executive Director of the Integrity Commission. Well, listeners, that's where we have to leave the cover story. The headlines are next at 6, but we come back at 6:25, where we'll have some public commentators to discuss that first media briefing in a very, very long period of time by the Integrity Commission. Please stay with us.
What's everyone talking about? It's Front Page in This Morning. Get the issue of the day this and every weekday morning at 7:20 a.m. on Front Page. This Morning. Morning radio the right way. Front Page is brought to you by ABC Electrical for a better choice in the electrical business.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Nora Gay Banton. The current leadership of the Integrity Commission says it will abandon the stance towards media engagements taken by its predecessors amid concerns about its public perception. That's according to Executive Director Craig Beresford. The Commission held a media briefing on Tuesday, its first in nearly 7 years. Beresford alluded to a difference of opinion compared to the prior leadership of the Commission regarding its forward-facing presence. He accepts that the anti-corruption body may have to regain the confidence of several Jamaicans as it moves forward.
If the Blue Dot poll suggests, or any poll suggests, that there is a loss of confidence, it means that we have some work to do, and we have started that. And we will continue that work. We continue to improve our processes. We have done several things. We are trying to improve our engagement with the media and the public generally. We have been doing a lot of work on the prevention side, and we will continue to do the work to see if we can build that confidence that we require. And note carefully that apart from the Blue Dot poll that was mentioned,
yes,
other comments that you may see on the social media, it's a mixed bag.
He's reacting to a recent Nationwide News Blue Dot poll which suggested 51% of respondents have no confidence in the Commission. The Integrity Commission's executive has avoided public engagement for much of its 8 years of operations, which Beresford admits may not have helped the perception of the organization. Its last special media briefing was held in May 2019, following the public disagreement between former Contractor General Dirk Harrison and the commissioners. The parties were at odds over Harrison's probe into Cabinet Minister Darrell Vass's involvement in a land sale by the Urban Development Corporation, which was at the time under his portfolio. Meanwhile, Beresford says the concern expressed by its chairman about increasing litigation against the Commission and its executives relates to matters being challenged in the court while investigations are ongoing.
There are some matters that there has been legal challenges, probably at the early stage and in some instances closer to the latter part of the investigation being concluded. And those are the ones that we have the major concerns with. The ones that goes to court afterwards, their due process should be followed, and we allow the court to make its own determination. But when we're investigating a matter and then you have a legal challenge, it may take years before that legal challenge is concluded. And then, of course, that report will come years after. And we may not still be at the organization. We don't know.
In her remarks in the Integrity Commission's 2025-2026 annual report, Chairman Retired Justice Carol Lawrence Beswick cautioned that an increasing number of lawsuits against the body and its leadership could hamper the fight against corruption. She argued that the courts play a vital role in upholding the rule of law and keeping public bodies within their legal authority. But according to her, it's equally important that the Commission's lawful work is not frustrated, delayed, or undermined by actions designed solely to discourage robust investigations or to stop the Commission from carrying out its mandate. The Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, says its deputy leader Desmond McKenzie is doing well after being pepper sprayed by the police Tuesday morning in Tivoli Gardens. The incident occurred on the scene of a police shooting in the Tivoli Gardens community in Mackenzie's West Kingston constituency. He explained the situation to George Davis on Nationwide this morning.
When I came, the community was very upset because they are saying men who were going to work were abused by the police and pulled in. I came and I was able to sort of quell them, ask them to allow the police to continue doing what they were doing. I am now proceeding to walk onto Spanish Town Road to speak to Superintendent Walcott, one of the officers from Denham. So when I was there talking, the crowd started to gather and everybody started to come up. And this young lady said something. I don't know what she said to the police, but the police attempted to hold her. She ran behind me, George. And I said to the policeman, hold on. The policeman proceeded to pepper spray me, George.
Pepper spray you?
Yeah, pepper spray me, George.
Desmond McKenzie, MP for West Kingston. The JLP says McKenzie received a precautionary medical consultation following the incident and is actively carrying out his duties as both MP and local government minister. The party says he's grateful for the expressions of support and remains focused on harnessing harmonious relations between residents of his constituency and law enforcement. Meanwhile, Councillor for the Tivoli Gardens Division, Donovan Samuels, has condemned what he describes as the improper conduct by lawmen after MP McKenzie was pepper sprayed earlier on Tuesday.
So Mr. McKenzie came and, he spoke about it and he took up the person. And from what I'm hearing is that a young miss said something to Mr. McKenzie, took to the police, ran behind Mr. McKenzie, and the policeman just turned around and pepper spray in the MP's face. I mean, you don't do those things, man. Improper behavior, because as far as I know, you don't pepper spray somebody unless you're preventing an attack from them. You don't run down somebody to pepper spray them. So the conduct of individual policemen seem to be suspect.
Donovan Samuels, Councillor for the Tivoli Gardens Division. MP McKenzie says he has no difficulty with any police operation aimed at nabbing wanted men, but he decried the treatment of the injured man by the police. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay. Banton Sports is next.
Commercial spaces for you. Parks and attractions for you. Housing and residential developments for you. Beautiful rental properties for you. Improving quality of life through infrastructure development across Jamaica for you. The Urban Development Corporation, making development happen for you. Brought to you by the Urban Development Corporation.
Portmore New Testament Church of God, celebrating 50 years of God's faithfulness, presents the Kevin Downswell pre-album launch worship experience. One night, one glorious worship encounter. Sunday, July 19 at 6 p.m. Victory Tabernacle, Bayside, Portmore. Gates open 5 p.m. Tickets pre-sold $3,500, VIP $7,000, pay-per-view $2,500 on SpurOpen.com or $4,500 at the gate. Children 12 and under, $1,200 at the gate. Tickets available at the Portmore New Testament Church office, Hope Line Pharmacy, Edgewater Medical, and Truly Me Weddings. Portmore New Testament Church of God Jubilee and the Kevin Downswell pre-album launch. There will be surprises.
If you've ever called in, shared your story, or got help on this show, then you're already family. Now make it official. Join the nationwide 90FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alwix Raby. We start with the World Cup as European champions Spain are through to their second ever FIFA World Cup final after beating tournament favourites France 2-0 in the first semi-final in Dallas on Tuesday. Mikel Oyarzabal shot the Spaniards ahead from the spot midway the first half before Pedro Parro applied the glass in the 58th minute.
Dani Olmo there is protecting the spot itself. I'll tell you that Mike Maignan is going to die to his right. Let's see. Miguel Oyarzabal strikes first for Spain. A glimpse, just a glimpse of the World Cup final. Porro, Olmo, Pedro Porro! It's happening for Spain. Look at those wild eyes. The world is opening up for this glittering Spanish cohort.
The other finalists will be known on Wednesday when champions Argentina and the 1966 winners England meet in semi-final 2 at Atlanta starting at 2 p.m. Jamaica time. Now to some cricket as West Indies women and their Irish counterparts are meeting in the final game of their three-match limited overs international series on Wednesday at Brady Ground in Ireland starting at 5:45 a.m. Jamaica time. The Caribbean team has already wrapped up the series, having won the first two games, and will go in search of a series wash. Captain Hayley Matthews and her predecessor Stefani Taylor clobbered impressive centuries on Sunday to take the team to a crushing win in Game 2. The West Indies are expected to go in with the same 11 as they seek to register their first series sweep over the hosts. On the men's side, West Indies spin bowler Gary Pereira believed the team's batting performance was the decisive factor in their 5-wicket defeat to New Zealand in the second one-day international on Monday. The loss saw New Zealand level the 5-match one-day series at 1-1 after successfully chasing down a modest target. After being sent in to bat, the West Indies struggled throughout their innings and were bowled out for just 138 in 36 overs. New Zealand then reached 141 for 5 to secure victory despite facing some resistance from the Caribbean bowlers. Reflecting on the defeat, Pierre admitted the batting unit failed to post a competitive total.
I think we left some runs out there, for sure. Got bowled out in 36 overs, 14 overs to go. I think we could have batted a little more responsible, rotate the strike a little more, probably get to 230. I think that's our winners on this track. So, we left some runs out there for sure.
Now, despite the disappointing result, Pierre praised the determination shown by the West Indies bowlers who fought hard to defend the below-par total and made New Zealand work for every run.
No, I think it was a really good job by the bowlers. 138 to defend. At no point we thought we could have won the game. I think the bowlers tried the utmost best to win the game. Coming down to the end, it was a bit easy after not picking up the wickets. But I think the bowlers they fought and they fought well.
With the series now tied at 1-1, the West Indies will be looking to bounce back in the third ODI as they aim to reclaim the advantage against the Black Caps. Now, Jamaica will go in search of a second straight victory at the West Indies Rising Star Under-19 tournament in Antigua on Wednesday when they face Trinidad and Tobago at Liberty Sports Club starting at 9 a.m. Jamaica time. The Jamaicans suffered defeat to the Leeward Islands in the opening round at the weekend but bounced back to crush Guyana by 10 wickets on Monday. In other games on Wednesday, Barbados will also seek win number 2 when they face Guyana at Coolidge and the Windward Islands battle the Leewards at Bethsaida. England's limited overs woes continued on Tuesday as they were outplayed by India in the first one-day international in Birmingham, losing by 6 wickets. The hosts were first bowled out for 258 in 48 overs as Joe Root cracked an unbeaten 76, Liam Dawson 68 and Ben Duckett 43 against Aksar Patel 4 for 62. India raced to 262 for 4 in reply thanks in main to captain Shubman Gill who retired hurt on 80. Patel chipped in with 57 and Washington Sundar 52 not out. And the InSport Challenge Cup has officially returned to the local high school sporting calendar after a 5-year absence caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, with this year's competition getting underway on Wednesday. The preseason tournament, which was first introduced in 2017, was suspended in 2020 following the outbreak of COVID-19. Its return marks the revival of a competition designed to help schools prepare for their respective inter-school seasons. The 2026 staging was officially launched on Tuesday at the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. Netball auctions begins on Wednesday, while the football competition kicks off on Thursday. Minister of Sports Olivia Grains says there will also be significant financial incentives for the top-performing schools. Minister Grains says the champions in both the football and netball competitions will receive $400,000.
I couldn't come back with pre-COVID prize money, so I've increased it, and I felt it was important. It's a great incentive to the players and to the schools, and also the fact that it was suspended for a while. I really had to do something that would be impactful and that would motivate the players.
Minister of Sports Olivia Grains. 12 schools will compete in each discipline over approximately 1 month. Teams will accumulate points during the preliminary round, with the top performers advancing to the semifinals. The schools contesting the netball competition are Denby High, Gainstead, Merle Grove, Camperdown, Norman Manley, Vauxhall, Jose Marti Technical, Denton Technical, Mile Gully High, Bishop Gibson, Mayday High and Tatius Golding. The football competition will feature Tatius Golding High, St. Catherine High, Charlemont, Waterford, Denby, Denham Town, Jose Marti, Tivoli Gardens, St. Jago, Bridgeport, Haile Selassie High, Injode and Greater Portmore High. And finally, in basketball, Paulton Gordon, president of Jamaica Basketball Association, says that while it might be tough for the Washington Wizards' newly acquired star, AJ Debansa, to commit to the national program, he is keeping fingers crossed that in the future, Jamaica could have a player of his caliber donning the black, green and gold.
No, I think primarily that would be his choice. I think he probably would have great opportunities in the American system in terms of the commercial side, and we understand that. To represent Jamaica, basically all you need is your citizenship and your passport. But again, the FIBA rule prevents us from having more than one player who would have acquired their passport after the age of 18. So we can have more than one player on the roster at this point in time who would have gotten their passport after the age of 18. So that's a limiting factor for us. And so it's not impossible, but it's unlikely at this point in time.
At the ongoing NBA Summer League, Debansa has already put the league on notice, averaging 25 points, 7 rebounds, 2.5 steals, and 1.5 blocks. Born to a Jamaican mother, Debansa represented the USA last year at the Under-19 FIBA World Cup, where he led them to a gold medal. According to Gordon, Jabba will continue to monitor his progress.
Yeah, certainly. We're always looking out for talent, looking to see where the talent pool is as it relates to Jamaica. We are 0.something million, but we have almost 2 million persons in the diaspora, and we're all Jamaicans. So if persons are inclined to represent Jamaica, whether the talent is locally based or overseas, we're open to that.
Paulton Gordon, I'm Alric Swiby, and that's your sports.
The vibes, the laughs, and the real talk, then you're one of us. Don't just listen, belong. Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club on Patreon.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business. A voice you love returns home. This August, afternoons on Nationwide on air and online will never be the same.
Morning after morning, you've made Nationwide 90 FM part of your routine. So let's take this connection one step closer. Join the Nationwide 90 FM Family Club and be part of it officially on Patreon.
Join Nationwide 90 FM live for an outside broadcast with Cliff Hughes Online on Wednesday, July 15, 2026 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Separat's Danvers Pen facility in St. Thomas. Be there as the Jamaica Dairy Development Board under the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining officially distributes 400 heifers to dairy farmers across the island as part of the government's emergency recovery initiative following Hurricane Melissa. Hear from the Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Floyd Green, along with key stakeholders as they outline the government's recovery efforts and long-term vision for a stronger, more resilient dairy sector. Join Cliff Hughes for insightful interviews, expert analysis, and live coverage from the heart of this important national initiative. Tune in to Cliff Hughes Online Wednesday, July 15 for a live broadcast from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. from Separat's Danvers Pen facility in St. Thomas. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Dairy Development Board.
He never shies away from taboo topics. Voyagings After Dark.
The most riveting discussions.
Voyagings After Dark.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Voyagings After Dark with Kareem Voyagings this and every Wednesday from 8 to 11 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
You can't miss.
What's buzzing?
Celebrity outfits.
Is that a hit or a miss?
Bust the odds.
Jamaica's Got Talent.
Wait, who am I?
Hot takes.
Talk up the takes.
Actual factual. Life is short. Voyagings After Dark.
Come get your mind blown.
And your curiosity explored.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Good evening, listeners. Welcome back to Nationwide at 5. You are now in the nation's business. Again, I'm your host, Siobhan Campbell. I trust you're enjoying your evening, and we're back on the matter of the Integrity Commission. As said earlier, the Integrity Commission had its first media briefing in a very long while, nearly 7 years, the last one being the in May 2019, and the current leadership of the commission says it will abandon the stance towards media engagements taken by its predecessors amid concerns about its public perception. That's according to Executive Director Craig Beresford. The Commission held its first press briefing in nearly 7 years today. Beresford alluded to a difference of opinion compared to the prior leadership of the Commission regarding its forward-facing presence. He says he accepts that the anti-corruption body may have to regain the confidence of several Jamaicans as it moves forward.
If the Blue Dot poll suggests, or any poll suggests, that there is a loss of confidence, it means that we have some work to do, and we have started that. And we will continue that work. We continue to improve our processes. We have done several things. We are trying to improve our engagement with the media and the public generally. We have been doing a lot of work on the prevention side, and we will continue to do the work to see if we can build that confidence that we require. And note carefully that apart from the Blue Dot poll that was mentioned,
yes,
other comments that you may see on the social media, it's a mixed bag.
Beresford says he intends to adopt a different approach to media engagement than that of his predecessor, Greg Christie.
We live in a very dynamic environment. Different management team will have different strategies and initiatives that they propose, and we're proposing more engagement. And we have accepted that it is something that was wanted before in terms of the engagement. And it's not pointing any fingers in terms of the previous leadership. It took a position based on what was happening at that time. We have a new leadership team. We have made a proposal to the commission. So yes, it has received the blessing of the commissioners for us to do this media intervention. And then also our communication strategy will speak to even broader engagement with the media, and that will also be approved by the commissioners.
That's Craig Beresford, Executive Director of the Integrity Commission. He was speaking during their media briefing held at the Commission's headquarters in New Kingston earlier today. Well, joining us now to react to the briefing is Principal Director for National Integrity Action, Dr. Gavin Myers, and political commentator, Dr. Nadine Spence. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, Siobhan. Good evening, Gavin.
How are you, my lecturer? How are you?
How are you, my friend? I am good.
Good evening to you both. And as always, lady before gentleman, Dr. Spence, your reaction to the Integrity Commission essentially breaking its silence after nearly 7 years. They finally decided that now is the time to engage with the media and be more forward-facing to the public.
I think the move is a very good one. I think this idea of the Integrity Commission of being the silent, stoic, impenetrable, non-responsive agency dealing with anti-corruption wasn't working in its favor. And so I think today's intervention, it at least made Jamaica see that the Integrity Commission is not trying to represent itself as being impenetrable and being, unreachable. And I think that was good. I think some of the ways I didn't see all of it, but some of the ways they handled some of the questions tells you that they somehow appear to be still very evasive and just trying to play a certain kind of cat and mouse game around the information, which I think they ought to handle better as they go along. I think you're in the room, Siobhan. Some of it seemed to be very uncomfortable. They were trying very hard not to answer some of the questions directly. But I think that, you can't, my mother would say, you have to lick me and show me where to drop. I didn't mind it. I thought it was a good first try for this new executive director, and his commitment to doing things differently is certainly, I think, indicative of the commission doing more to get Jamaicans to trust the work that it's doing.
And I bring you in, Dr. Gavin Myers, to partly answer a question there asked by Dr. Spence, because again I point out the legal and confidentiality and other constraints that is part of their information note, where they say officials will be unable to comment on matters beyond the annual reporting period, matters before the courts, active or ongoing investigations, information protected by law or confidentiality provisions, personal or confidential information relating to individuals, and issues that could prejudice legal or investigative processes. So when we were handed this document heading into the press conference, there were some stirs amongst us there, sitting there waiting for the commissioners to come in. But asking someone of a more neutral styling, do you think these were reasonable expectations?
I think it was reasonable to expect that we should have more comments. I think it was reasonable to expect that there is some forward-facing information sharing. I think it's reasonable to expect that our access to information and openness from the people who are engaging with us is there. And I would say that this was a very good first step. There are some parts of it that we know they can do better at, which is obviously something that we have to expect from them. But I am appreciative of this first step, and I am happy that there was engagement. I think my one quibble, and this is me just generally, I would have wanted to have been either A, being able to present, to be here in person, or B, to have this, live streamed in some way. But that's my little quibble. It's not the little, but it's an important thing.
Understood. And tell me, Dr. Myers, because again, I point out that the Integrity Commission did put some constraints as to what could be questioned. And further beyond that, the commissioners themselves seemingly, I assume they don't want to speak ill of their predecessors, and I can understand that. But it seems clear that Beresford is adopting a stance that, based on what he suggested today, his predecessor, being Greg Christie, would have been firmly against. And do you believe that stance then by Greg Christie has caused harm to the commission?
So it's really hard for me to speak about Greg Christie as someone who never engaged with him. That's one. And two, I think everybody who comes to a post brings their own style and own type of engagement. My language and how I speak is different from the previous predecessor at NIA. So I'm very hopeful that we understand and deal with people as they are working now and demand better going forward. We can't adjudicate the past. What we can do is ensure that going forward, we'll hold Craig Beresford to his word and ensure that the conversation continues. Because that is important for us to know. Public participation is critical,
But personally, would you have stood out of the media for 6 years, Dr. Gavin Myers?
No, yes, that's it. No. First, I understand that Greg Christie had a certain way to do things, and Craig Beresford come and say, look here, I have a different way. But even more, he also made the point is that just him alone, the commissioners also had a different view. So there were other commissioners before, so they also had a different view, it seems. But what would I love, and this is something that I would like to think, is that it shouldn't be up to single people, but rather we should have quarterly or annual press conferences or events like this that are scheduled from morning. I don't want it to be left up to the proclivities or interests of individual people. I like when things are scheduled in some way that I can expect them.
Precisely. Please stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. We're up on a break.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is...
It's 6:32.
The Nation's Business is brought to you by the Jamaica International Financial Services Authority, promoting transparency, trust, and sustainable investment growth.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We are talking about the Integrity Commission holding its first press conference in several years. We have with us Principal Director for National Integrity Action, Dr. Gavin Myers, and political commentator, Dr. Nadine Spence. And Dr. Spence, you spoke to it earlier about the Integrity Commission essentially being evasive of certain questions. And do you think under the circumstances, based on its mandate and what it has to operate with, the environment under which it's operate, do you believe that could make up for some of the caginess, so to speak?
No, I think part of what we need to understand about the public sector is that the commissioners, for example, have a responsibility to ensure that the Integrity Commission institutes procedures and policies that ensure for good governance and the effective running of the agency. That's what, when you look at what the corporate governance framework talks about, what commissioners and boards should do, it is the commissioners that have a responsibility, for example, to ensure that the commission has a good communication strategy. And they clearly don't have a good communication strategy. Either that or they had an ineffective commission that didn't understand that its work was about oversight and good governance and to ensure that the agency hit some good accountability markers. The agency was doing poorly in terms of its governance structures. And the commissioners should be taken to task for that. The government and whoever appoints the commissioners ought to make sure that the commissioners are doing the work. They tend to figure that the commissioners should be people who are skilled in law or whatever, but that's not what a commission like that is supposed to do, because you're talking about an integrity commission that is supposed to have the trust of the public. If we don't trust the integrity commission, if it isn't open and transparent, and if it doesn't communicate clearly what it is about, if it sounds as if it is sidestepping issues and that it is unreachable and impenetrable, the public is going to lose trust in it, and for that reason it becomes unnecessary. And people will not see the need to have an integrity commission. It will defeat the very purpose it was set up to protect. So, for that reason, when a commission becomes cagey and unwilling to engage the public, it is shooting itself in the foot. And so, who do we hold responsible for that? Yes, the people who work in the commission, the public servants are public servants, but the people who have oversight and responsibility for its effective functioning and who should ensure that the law is in practice in the commission and the policies around public trust are the commissioners. And so there's a huge problem with how they communicate.
Dr. Myers, it sounds like you wanted to come in there.
I was going to come in, but add another layer to this discussion about the role of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee and the Joint Committee of Parliament. And I'm just pushing the ball a lot more, saying that one of the roles that we had expected and supposed to be played by the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee is to make these type of recommendations to structure and strengthen the work of the organization.
Yes.
What we have found over time is that we have become rather, we start meddling into practice and who say wow, how something feel and so on, rather than strengthening what needs to be strengthened. And I put it to you, say if we do more work in terms of strengthening the commission, and we use the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee as the basis for that in Parliament, we can see these things happening over time. Rather than using it as some place to try to score political points or to just use joysting, political joysting. I prefer that we work actually a bit to strengthen these institutions and to commend them or to beat them down when them now work. To use them, as they didn't say, to strengthen the accountability and oversight that we need.
But to the point that Nadine raised about this concern that the Integrity Commission needs to be forward-facing, and yes, and we need to have a commission more willing to be engaging with the public. One of the concerns what brought about this Integrity Commission, and I'm going to not name any politician at this point, because when I recall that the gag clause was under consideration and there was a big hoopla about it before the Integrity Commission Act itself was passed, a politician told me pointedly, and they even described it as such, that the reason that gag clause was put there was because the contractor generals would get upon a political platform, well, not a political platform, get upon a platform and say something incendiary in relation to either a politician or a state agency. And they simply would cause untold damage to people's reputations. And as a result, they put in the gag clause. And I will say it again, the politicians made it quite clear. They called it the Harrison Clause, the Dirk Harrison Clause. So what is the current Integrity Commission now suffering from that reality? As a result, it finds itself unable to answer questions in a way that the people would like.
So, all right. I don't want to sound. I'm looking forward, and why I say I'm looking forward is that I don't recall that situation as much, but what I'm saying is critical, is that transparency and openness is not something that actually browbeats or downplays or attacks anyone. What it should be is something that strengthens the work of people and shows up how good things are. And this is what the Integrity Commission annual report has been doing. This one shows up a lot of work that has been done in the government to make things transparent, to show up how the procurement is going well. So I would want us to talk about that and say, things are going good. And even more, the work that is being done to weed out the persons who are running afoul is a critical part of ensuring that we have a positive space for development in Jamaica.
Yes. Dr. Spence, I understand we lost you, but you're back with us?
Yes, I'm back.
Good to hear. So I put another point to you, Dr. Spence, in this matter of the reporting and the annual report, because I put it to the Commission that the way the information is disaggregated lends itself to speculation. And I believe it was Joeth Jones, I hope I got the name correct.
Yeah,
Yes, who spoke to the matter, saying that she I won't say she accepted, but she acknowledged that there may be some situations where the report could be used in such a way to invite speculation as a result of how the information is placed in it. Would you agree that there might need to be a reformatting of how the annual report is presented?
Yes, there should be, but I don't know. You and Gavin can give me feedback to my supposition that I'm going to propose at this point. I think the earlier ED or CEO, I think he tended to like the public foment and the furor and the quarrel. And so if you look at the JD, of the ED/C or whatever the head of the entity is that Beresford now occupies.
Executive Director.
It's a management position, It's somebody who oversees the running of the organization and the effectiveness of the resources that are allocated to the organization. That is the person who allocates and makes sure that the organization does its work and is doing the HR and it's the person who is set to work to do all of that.
So not just a conduit, as Greg Christie has previously suggested.
Christie was seen as the czar of the anti-corruption response in Jamaica. That was not what the ED was supposed to do. He was to be there ensuring that the resources allocated to the entity were expended in such a way that it got the best bang for the buck. It was a managerial, administrative role primarily. Just look at the JD and see what that position was supposed to be. In that regard, he was also supposed to ensure that the work was being coordinated in an efficient way as possible. He fell down on that. He got into this big tussle with the government and with public officials because he was playing the role of the anti-corruption czar. The entity was not formulated, was not built to do that. The ED was not given the power to do that. Right? So if he had been doing his work and coordinating his managers or his directors in a more efficient and effective way, some of the ways that the information was being presented, he could have ensured that it didn't happen that way, so that the kind of confusion and the ways in which the entity's reputation was damaged and the kinds of the whole mess that was eventually created. If he had done his job, that would not have happened. Go back and look at the ED's job description again and see if you get what I'm saying.
Dr. Myers, go ahead.
I want to jump in with 2 points. One, in terms of information and usage. We have a very adversarial type of politics.
Yes.
And we have been using different type of things. No matter what it is, reports from wherever it is, are a part of this adversarial jousting and this use of gotcha politics, which I think is either tiresome or just at the same time bad for communication. My other point on this, which flows in, is that the critical point that the Integrity Commission has to do is to be open, transparent, and clear in what they're sharing, and also be clear in the process that made them reach where they are. If we don't have that, we're going to have different people complain or worry about illicit sex, or worry about their own whatever it is happening and so on, rather than what is being said. And I want us to speak and focus on what is being said, about whom and why. So, this part of the problem that we're facing now is something that is both a part of the absence of information, that the lack of communication over 6 or 7 years had been building up, and then also the adversarial politics and space that we're living in. We have to break those bonds, but we also have to increase the level of scrutiny that citizens give to institutions and allow them, or force them, whichever one you want to call it, to come to us as equal partners.
That is Principal Director of National Integrity Action, Dr. Gavin Myers, and political commentator, Dr. Nadine Spence. Unfortunately, we're out of time, ladies and gentlemen. But again, I thank you both for joining us. I'm sure this discussion will continue well past this evening. Thank you both.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
We take a short break, listeners, and then we come back with Around the World.
The Nation's Business was brought to you by the Jamaica International Financial Services Authority, promoting transparency, trust, and sustainable investment growth. The Jamaica International Financial Services Authority promotes Jamaica as a jurisdiction for international financial services. Visit JIFSA at jifsa.gov.jm. The time by JIFSA is...
It's 6:46.
A voice, a personality you love, returns to Nationwide this August. Afternoons, on air and online at Nationwide, will never be the same.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Welcome back, listeners. to the final segment of Nationwide at 5, that's around the world, and this is an interesting one. The United States has launched a campaign to dismantle the International Criminal Court, that's the ICC. Secretary of State Marco Rubio outlined the campaign in a lengthy op-ed published in the Wall Street Journal on Monday. Rubio claims the global tribunal is interfering with U.S. military and law enforcement operations at the risk of American sovereignty. The State Department plan to dismantle the ICC will reportedly involve pressuring other nations to abandon the court. According to CNN, which quoted a State Department official, nations that refuse to reject the ICC's authority while relying on U.S. assistance are likely to come under increased scrutiny. It says possible punishments could involve sanctions, travel bans, and visa revocations. Well, joining us now to discuss further on this is retired Provost of John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York City, Professor Basil Wilson. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening to you. This is a very interesting. I did not expect to see this headline when I woke up this morning. The United States moving to attempt to dismantle the ICC. I already see where there's pushback from the EU. So why would the U.S. take this stance?
But the United States never acknowledged the legitimacy of the International Court of Justice or the International Criminal Court. In fact, they always insisted that their soldiers or their whatever they were about, that they were not supportive of that architectural initiatives in order to create a world that had at least was moving us towards some higher level of sanity. Now that Marco Rubio has in fact embarked on a policy of revoking, not just being indifferent to the court, but in fact punishing countries that are supportive of it. I mean, I don't know how successful he will be. I mean, there are many countries and there are many instances in which the courts have in fact had some effect, not the kind of effect that we would really prefer to have. But, I mean, for example, I mean, it has been effective when the genocide was taking place in Serbia, and there was convictions there. South Africa has, in fact, brought what was happening in Gaza to the courts. So there have been many initiatives that have taken that have been led to certain kinds of restrictions or certain kinds of exposures to horrible things that have been taking place in certain parts of the world. So I think the courts have really contributed in trying to moving us towards a far more humane form of civilization. But so it's surprising that the United States, that should be in the advance of democracy and sanity, is in fact now moving to be hostile to these courts of justice.
I mean, I understand that the United States, like the other 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, have on occasion or so ignored the calls from the ICC on when it has suited them. But it is one of those organizations that came out of the post-World War II new world order, the new rules-based order, that it seems that the U.S. under President Trump is attempting to pull back into the old might makes right organization that existed before.
Well, you know, one of the things that Mark Carney pointed out at the Davos Forum in January is that the rules order that existed in the post-World War II period no longer is in existence. That world order has collapsed, and that he has we have not replaced it with anything new. And where we find ourselves is a lack of imagination in terms of how we proceed, in terms of constructing a world where we will not only be controlled by technology, but we will use technology to advance humanity. And that's where we find ourselves. I mean, we are in the midst of a revolution in terms of AI. And more than likely, AI will determine us rather than we determine what AI should be.
But tell me, under the circumstances, Professor, under the circumstances where the ICC itself, it has come under criticism for being essentially a paper tiger, especially when it comes to enforcing its will on more powerful nations. Under the circumstances, does that prove that concern that the ICC is essentially a court of that is essentially used only to punish the weak?
Well, I mean, that's not the fault of the ICC. That is the fault of the international community to, in fact, give the ICC the kind of teeth and support that it really needs in order to really achieve the objectives which I think would be beneficial to humanity. But one of the things that we find that to get the world community to move in unison is really extremely difficult. I mean, we have the United Nations that exists, and in another couple of months, we will have all the leaders coming to the UN, announcing their respective positions on the world community. But we really have not advanced in terms of having a way in which we minimize war, in which we are advancing things in such a way that, for example, if you look at the Geneva Conventions that was really introduced from in the early parts of the 20th century, they're now bombing civilians. I mean, we have a superpower in terms of Russia, where their attempts at crippling and winning the war in the Ukraine is in fact bombing civilians, which we know was outlawed by the Geneva Conventions. So there are a lot of things that progress that was made even in the early parts of the 20th century, the latter parts of the 20th century, in which in the 21st century we find that we have in fact gone back on, and we have become much more dehumanizing, much more, in fact, we become much more Neanderthal-like. And in fact, we had even quite recently a threat of destroying civilization in Iran. That's how backward we have become.
And that concern still remains, Professor, because under the circumstances, you have the war in Ukraine with Russia, a permanent member of the UN Security Council. You have the United States running cover for Israel in the Middle East, another permanent member of the Security Council, that being the United States. You have China posturing regarding Taiwan, another permanent member of the UN Security Council. Has that order now essentially come full circle? That rules-based, democratic, liberal position that was adopted past World War II, has it now finally come to an end? And what do we now do going forward as nations such as Jamaica, who we don't have that kind of power? We are pushed and pulled as the tide goes. Where do we now find our protection?
But where I think this vacuum that presently exists, this is where leadership and imagination should be forthcoming. That if you take an entity like CARICOM, rather than being divisive or divided and functioning as an individual entity, CARICOM should in fact be moving towards this kind of vacuum and becoming a voice of sanity in a world that is moving towards greater and greater insanity. I mean, if you look at what's going on between the war in Iran and the United States, the war between the Ukraine and Russia, the war in the Sudan, I mean, we need voices that can really begin to be imaginative, to create an alternative world. if we have all this technological know-how, we have all this scientific breakthrough that we are on the verge of achieving, why can't we create a world in which there is less devastation, more development, more humanity? But that is because there's an absence of leadership. We don't have to have a rolling thunder that we appeal to the worst of the worst, and we create problems upon problems. We should be finding solutions and using our scientific know-how to bring about these solutions. But part of the problem is the lack of leadership and imagination as to what an alternative world can look like. And even in terms of this post-World War II that America was instrumental in constructing, an abundance of limitations to it. And that's one of the reasons why it has collapsed. Because in a sense it became a dead end. And in fact, the presumption that the Trump administration made is that the world that the United States created was in fact exploiting the United States, which was really absurd. It was a logical absurdity, but that was in fact sold to the American people, and it became a majority in terms of a presidential election, and that created the kind of vacuum that we presently find ourselves in.
That's retired Provost of John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York City, Professor Basil Wilson. Thank you for joining us, Professor. It is appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
I believe that I said at one point, when the nation that underpins the world order upon which all it has been developed over the past 30 to 40 years, where do you go from there? And I suppose that question becomes even more relevant today. But I'm getting the wrap-up signals. Listeners, viewers, thank you for joining me again for Nationwide at 5. Please stay tuned for the comment section with Mahiri Stewart. And again, special shout-out to all the YouTubers. Your questions, your engagement, and even your criticisms are well noted and thanked. So I appreciate it all. Herman Hyatt, Rita Reed, Blessed Marcia, who am I? All of you. Thank you again for joining me for Nationwide at 5. And thanks to our super producer, Dana Davey, our technical operator, Andrew the Glenn, the big man, the Bugs Anderson, as well as the best news and production department led by the very capable Cara Powell. I'm Siobhan Campbell. Have a good evening.
Win with KFC, big league, join the league. Win a trip to Brazil, all you mean? Yeah. Big deal, meal deal.